The next morning, the entire village gathered at the mango tree. Onyeka stood with the box in her hand. She read the diary aloud. There was silence as the people listened, mothers, elders, farmers, children. When she finished, Papa Nedi stepped forward. I remember 𝐷𝐵𝐴. He disappeared many years ago. We thought he went mad. But he had already started this. He planted the seed of evil, Onyeka said. But it ends with us. Ugana, the inspector, stood beside her. This box will go to the state archives. It will be evidence. And a warning to all. The villagers agreed. Then, something special happened. Mama Nelo stepped forward with a small bag. She brought out a tiny banana-shaped bell carved from wood. My daughter made this in school before she died, she said, placing it at the foot of the tree. It belongs here. Let it ring peace over the land. She shook it gently. Ting. 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 The sound was soft, but it echoed all around. A breeze passed through the village. And in that moment, people said they saw something, 3 girls under the tree, holding hands, smiling. But when they looked again, the girls were gone. Only the wind remained. That night, Onyeka sat in the classroom, reading the final pages of the diary. One line stood out, light always finds its way through cracks. She closed the book and looked out at the children sleeping safely. No cries. No knocking. No banana chants. Only peace. For now. Absolutely. Let's continue this beautiful and powerful story. The days that followed the discovery of 𝐷𝐵𝐴's box were peaceful. Nkpor village had become a place of healing, not only for the children at 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 but for everyone. Traders were kinder. Neighbors checked on each other. The stories of the lost children were no longer spoken in whispers but in songs, in poems, in morning prayers. Onyeka thought the worst had passed. Until the boy came. It was a Monday afternoon. The sun was high. The children had just finished eating when 𝐵𝐵𝐴 noticed a small figure standing alone near the mango tree. He was barefoot, covered in dust, his shirt torn. Where did he come from? 𝐵𝐵𝐴 asked. I don't know, Onyeka said, walking toward him. The boy looked up at her with tired, scared eyes. What's your name? She asked gently. He didn't speak. She knelt down to his level. It's okay. You're safe here. The boy finally whispered, my name is Somadina. He was about 9 years old. And he was shaking. Onyeka took him inside, gave him water and food. He ate slowly, his eyes darting around as if expecting someone to grab him. Later, when he felt calm, she asked again, where did you come from? Somadina looked down. From the bush. Near 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 side. I ran away. From who? He paused. Then he said the word Onyeka feared. They were going to bury me. Her heart dropped. 𝐵𝐵𝐴 covered her mouth in shock. They said the earth needed a voice, the boy continued, tears in his eyes. But I didn't want to die. I ran when they were asleep. Did you see their faces? Onyeka asked. The boy nodded. 2 men. And a woman. A woman. Chike asked. A priestess. Yes, Somadina whispered. They called her Mama Oko. She wore red beads and spoke to fire. Onyeka stood up. We have to go there. No, the boy cried, grabbing her arm. She's dangerous. She sees people in her dreams. She'll know you're coming. We'll be careful, Onyeka said. We need to find the place before they hurt another child. They waited until night. Inspector Ugana returned, bringing 2 officers. With Somadina guiding them, they followed a narrow path that curved deep into the forest near 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿. The moon lit their way. The bush grew thicker. The air colder. Then they saw it. A large clearing with strange markings on the ground. At the center was a wooden platform covered in red cloth, and beside it stood a small shrine. No one was there. But the signs were clear. children's clothes in a corner. A hole freshly dug in the middle. Another sacrifice was planned, Ugana said grimly. They took photos. Collected items. Then they destroyed the platform and sealed the pit. As they were leaving, Onyeka turned back and stared into the dark forest. Who is Mama Oku? She asked softly. We'll find her, Ugana promised. Now that Somadina is safe, we have a witness. Back at Nelo's haven, the children welcomed Somadina with hugs and smiles. He smiled too, but only a little. He didn't sleep much. Every night, Onyeka would sit beside his bed, holding his hand. Why me? He asked one evening. Why did they choose me? Because evil people look for the quiet ones, she said. But the quiet ones can be the loudest when they speak. He looked into her eyes. I'm afraid. It's okay, Onyeka said. But fear doesn't mean weakness. Even Neloaku was afraid. But she still found her voice. Somadina nodded slowly. Can I stay here forever? Onyeka smiled. As long as you want. This is your home now. Meanwhile, news of Mama Oku spread fast. Villagers began to whisper. Some said she was not human. That she lived for over 100 years. Others said she could disappear like smoke. But Onyeka didn't believe in fear stories. She believed in truth. And the truth was, someone was still out there, planning to continue the evil. They needed to act fast. One evening, 𝐬𝐫𝐽 returned to Nkpor. Onyeka called for him after hearing about Somadina's escape. He entered the haven with slow, careful steps. The land spoke again, he said. You heard it, didn't you? Onyeka nodded. A woman this time. A priestess. 𝐬𝐵𝐽 looked serious. Mama Oku is real. She was trained by 𝐬𝐵𝐽. She continues his ways in secret. But why now? Onyeka asked. Why is she rising again? Because your voice is shaking the ground, he said. She sees her power slipping. She wants to silence you. Onyeka took a deep breath. Then we need to find her before she finds another child. The old seer gave her a necklace made of black stones. Wear this when you go after her. It will keep her dreams from reaching you. Will it stop her completely? No, he said. Only the truth can stop her. But this will help you stay strong. Onyeka put it around her neck. That night, she stood beneath the mango tree again. She looked up at the sky, stars blinking softly. Are you still with me, Neloaku? She whispered. No voice answered. But the wind moved gently. And she felt it again. That same presence. A quiet strength. She placed her palm on the shrine. We're not finished, she said. But we're not afraid. Behind her, Somadina watched quietly, holding a candle. And in his eyes, the spark of courage had returned. The day after Somadina's story shook Nkpor, a meeting was called. The town square was full, elders, mothers, children, teachers, hunters, and even people from neighboring villages. Everyone had heard of Mama Oku. Some believed she was just a ghost tale. Others said she walked in the form of a human during the day, but turned into something else at night. But Onyeka knew the truth. She wasn't a spirit. She was a woman. A dangerous one. And she needed to be found. We can't wait for her to strike again, Onyeka said as she stood before the crowd. She almost killed Somadina. She's still out there, planning. Papa Nedi stepped forward. So what do you suggest, Onyeka? We take the fight to her, she said, voice steady. We enter the forest. We find her. We stop her. Here were mamas in the crowd. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked afraid. Isn't it too dangerous? Someone asked. Fear is how people like her stay powerful, Onyeka replied. But we are not afraid anymore. We will go with truth and courage. Ugana, the inspector, came forward. We'll go prepared. I will lead with 4 officers. Onyeka, 𝐶𝐐𝐽, and 𝐸𝐵𝐺 would guide us to the site where Somodina escaped. And so it was agreed. At dawn, they would begin. The next morning, the team moved quietly through the forest path, guided by Somodina's memories and the map 𝐷𝐵𝐺 had drawn. Onyeka wore the black stone necklace around her neck. 𝐸𝐵𝐺 held a bag filled with offerings and herbs from 𝐷𝐵𝐺. 𝐶𝐿 carried a lantern, and 𝐬𝐮𝐬 led the officers with caution. The deeper they walked, the stranger the air became. The birds stopped singing. The trees leaned strangely, as if whispering to each other. Then they saw it. A red cloth tied to a tree, then another, and another. They were getting close. Soon, they reached a small clearing. At the center was a hut made of mud, feathers, and bones. Symbols were carved into the walls, and animal skulls hung like ornaments. "It's here," Onyeka whispered. 𝐬𝐮𝐬 motioned for silence. The group stepped forward slowly, surrounding the hut. Then the door creaked open. And Neloaku stepped out. She was tall, with chalked white skin, long black hair, and heavy red beads on her neck. Her eyes were black, too black. "You came," she said in a voice like dry leaves. "The little whispering girl who follows ghosts." Onyeka didn't flinch. "Your time is up." Neloaku laughed. "I've walked these lands longer than your dreams. The gods of this land speak to me." "No," Onyeka said, stepping forward. "They spoke to Neloaku. And she told the truth. You silenced children. But their voices have returned." Neloaku's face twisted. "Foolish child. Do you know how many spirits I command?" "Spirits do not follow you," Onyeka replied. "They run from you." Neloaku screamed, raised her hands, and the wind howled. But Onyeka reached into 𝐸𝐵𝐺's bag and threw the sacred powder from 𝐷𝐵𝐺 into the air. It glowed white. Neloaku staggered back. The ground trembled. One by one, ghostly figures appeared around the clearing, children with trays, with school uniforms, with wide empty eyes. The air grew heavy with their presence. "Who are they?" one officer asked, shaking. Onyeka's voice shook too, but she stood firm. "They are the ones she didn't bury properly. The ones she took." The children's spirits began to circle the hut. Neloaku screamed again, but this time, it was not in control, it was in fear. The ground beneath her cracked. Flames flickered at the base of the shrine. She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. "No. I did what they asked." "No," Onyeka said. "You did what greed asked. Now the earth is answering." 𝐬𝐮𝐬 stepped forward and placed handcuffs on her wrist. "You are under arrest for child trafficking, murder, and spiritual abuse." Neloaku didn't resist. Her strength was gone. As they dragged her out of the forest, the spirits slowly faded. One by one, they turned to Onyeka and smiled. Among them was a boy holding a mango. Another with a cracked school bag. And a girl who whispered, "You found us." Onyeka wiped her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "You are found. You are free." By evening, the news had spread across Anambra. Feared priestess captured by girl from Nkpor. Another ritual camp uncovered in forest. The children of silence now speak. When they returned to Nelo's haven, Somodina ran to Onyeka and hugged her tightly. "You stopped her," he said. "No," Onyeka replied. "We stopped her. Your courage helped us." That night, they held a candlelight vigil under the mango tree. The names of more missing children were read aloud. And a promise was made. Every child's voice matters. We will not be silent. Ever again. As the candles flickered and prayers were whispered, the wind blew gently across Nkpor. But this time, it didn't bring fear. It brought peace. And the sound of laughter. 2 weeks after Neloaku was arrested, life in Nkpor settled into something it hadn't known for years, true peace. No more whispers in the night. No more missing children. No more red cloths or cracked voices calling from the bush. Instead, there was music, laughter, and bright mornings filled with joy. Children skipped to classes at the new 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, dressed in colorful uniforms donated by well-wishers from across the country. Some wore shoes for the first time. Some held books as if they were gold. They were safe. And they were free. Onyeka watched them play from the porch one morning, a warm cup of tea in her hand. She turned to 𝐸𝐵𝐺. I still can't believe it. How far we've come. 𝐸𝐵𝐺 smiled. From a haunted house near a mango tree, to a haven with over 50 children. 𝐶𝐐 joined them, holding a notebook. Guess what? More volunteers are coming from Enugu next week. Teachers and doctors. They want to help. That's wonderful, Onyeka said. But her smile faded slightly as she looked beyond the compound wall. I keep wondering, she said softly. Will it ever start again? Somewhere else. In another village. 𝐸𝐵𝐺 put her hand on Onyeka's shoulder. Maybe. But if it does, someone like you will be there. Someone will listen. Or maybe, 𝐶𝐐 added, they'll read about what happened here, and speak up before it's too late. Onyeka nodded. Yes. We have to keep telling the story. That evening, Onyeka sat at her table with a pen in hand. She opened a clean notebook and wrote on the first page, The House in Nkpor, the story of Neloaku and the voices that rose. She wrote into the night, about the knocking, the banana chants, the dreams, the fears, the spirits, the truths, and the children. She wrote everything, every name. Every whisper. Every moment of hope. When she finished the last line, she closed the book and whispered, this will live longer than me. The next morning, she handed the book to Inspector 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. I want you to give this to the governor, she said. Let them publish it. Let it enter the schools. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 took it with care. I promise. The following week, a big celebration was planned in Nkpor. Not just for 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐻, but for the entire village. The government sent food, clothing, new school materials, and even a small bus to transport children to nearby clinics. People came from towns far and near. And at the center of the celebration stood a statue. It had just been unveiled. A bronze figure of a young girl holding a banana tray, smiling toward the sky. Under it, the words, Neloaku, the girl who was heard. Mama Nelo stood before the statue with tears in her eyes. She placed a small yellow banana on the base and whispered, your voice shook the world, my child. The crowd clapped and sang songs written by the children themselves. One small girl stood and performed the poem, I am not just a voice in the night, I am not just a shadow of fright, I am a child, bold and bright, and I will rise into the light. The people cheered. And behind the noise, Onyeka stood quietly under the mango tree, watching. Thinking. Remembering. That night, the full moon rose. The children at 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐻 held candles, walking in silence to the shrine. They formed a circle and began to sing, softly, like a lullaby. The air was calm. The ground was still. Then, just for a second, 3 fireflies danced above the shrine. Only Onyeka noticed. And she smiled. They are still with us, she whispered. Watching. So Medina stood beside her, holding her hand. Can I tell the story too one day? He asked. Yes, she said. You must. Because the story wasn't just about one girl anymore. It was about a village. A people. A movement. And a promise. That no child would ever be silenced again. The sun rose gently over Nkpor village, casting golden light across rooftops, trees, and the wide courtyard of 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐻. It was quiet. Not the kind of silence that comes with fear, but the silence that comes with peace, the calm after the storm, the quiet after the cries. Onyeka stood beside the mango tree, now tall and thick with leaves. Children laughed nearby as they swept the compound and sang morning songs. A little boy ran past with a bucket of water, giggling when he splashed his friend. The world had changed. And so had Onyeka. She wasn't just the girl who once had a ghost whisper in the night. She was now a guardian. A leader. A storyteller. And today, she would tell the story one last time. A large stage had been set up in the middle of the village square. Benches, mats, and chairs filled the area. People came from towns and cities. Writers, teachers, doctors, and mothers with their children sat side by side. The governor himself came, wearing a white agbada and a smile of respect. The elders of Nkpor sat in the front row, including Popenedi. And at the center of it all, Onyeka stood, dressed in a simple wrapper, a necklace of black stones around her neck, and Neloaku's wooden banana bell in her hand. Beside her stood Somadina, Ada, and 3 other children from the center. She began to speak. Once, there was a girl named Neloaku. She sold bananas to feed her family. One day, a man tricked her into entering an unfinished house. He took her voice, her breath, her life. He buried her beneath cement and silence. But she did not rest. At night, her spirit returned, knocking on doors, whispering, "Buy banana." Until someone finally listened. She looked across the crowd. No one moved. Even the wind seemed to wait. Her voice led us to the truth. And in her truth, we found others. More children. More pain. But also more strength. And now, that voice lives here, she said, placing her hand over her chest. It lives in every child who rises again. In every village that opens its ears. In every adult who dares to protect, not pretend. She rang the banana bell 3 times. Ting. 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 Then she stepped aside. Somadina took the stage. He held a book in his hand. "This is our new book," he said, his voice small but clear. "It's called Voices of the Haven. It has poems, drawings, and letters from us, the children. We are not just survivors. We are fighters. We are dreamers." The crowd clapped. Some wept. Mama Nelo stepped forward, holding a lit candle. She passed it to Onyeka. And one by one, the children lit their candles too. Soon, the entire village square was glowing. A sea of light. Each flame a promise. Each flicker a name remembered. And in that glow, the wind carried a whisper once again. Soft. Kind. Joyful. Thank you. That night, as the village celebrated, Onyeka walked one last time to the spot where the haunted house once stood. It was now a small flower garden. Peaceful. Bright. She knelt beside the flowers and whispered, "You can rest now. You are loved. You are safe." And this time, no voice replied. Not because they were gone, but because they were truly at peace. Years later, when Onyeka had grown older, the story of Nkpor was told in schools, churches, and libraries. Statues of children holding banana trays stood in town squares across the land. And whenever a child disappeared, people remembered. They looked. They listened. Because once, in a small village with a mango tree, a girl who sold bananas taught the world to never be silent again. And her voice still echoes, not in fear, but in hope. Forever.
If you enjoyed the tale, if so, please like the video, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also turn on your notification to get more enchanted tales like this one. Goodbye.